what we've got here is a sample of a through housing, and we want to reproduce this sample as well, like this. And what we want to do is, on our piece of timber, we're going to mark in 20 mil, and using a tri-square, we're going to place the tri-square hard up against the edge, up against that 20 mil line, and just run the pencil line through to one end to the other, and also across the edge, making sure that those pencil lines actually match the ones on the face. And we do the same thing on the other side. Just making sure, take care that you're matching those lines like that. And now what we have to do is measure in 20 mil in from that line. So place the timber up against that edge, line it up, put another line there that we've done, and now using the tri-square again, just making sure you run that line parallel with the other line. And again, making sure that the lines on the ends here match up with the ones on the top. And the same on this side. Now, once you've done that, we've got to make sure that we come down our 6 mil, which is the depth of our housing. So we measure, get a marking gauge, place the marking gauge in the ruler up against there and mark, making sure that it's 6 mil exactly. When it's exactly 6 mil, tighten it up, and that should be ready to go. Placing the marking gauge up against the face, run the marking gauge across those two lines from one point to the next, making sure that the index finger is up against along the stock and the thumb behind the pin. Drag it across just gently like that, and do the same thing on the other side. And then just get a pencil and just put the pencil in the groove just so you can see it again, so it makes it much easier when you go to cut it out like that. Then place that up against the bench hook and grab a tenon saw and put the tenon saw on an angle starting from the top edge and just gradually work it along that line. Don't try going right across the face, and just gradually work along until you get to that 6 mil depth. Do the same thing on the other side as well. Again, making sure that you've got that piece of timber hard up against that bench hook. Start from the corner, just work down to that line like that. Making sure that you have actually got to the line. Just recheck it again. And then place it in the vise. And now we're going to actually chisel that waste material out. Just place the chisel, making sure the chisel's a little bit smaller than the width of those two lines or cuts that you've made, and just gently put the chisel into the timber and work up towards the center. Don't go straight digging into the timber. Then you do the same thing on the other side. Start chiseling halfway down, slightly up in an upward motion, and then put the chisel into the groove, working right up into the middle, and then you end up having a small little hump in the middle. Now you have to chisel that so it's nice and flat. And just what we do is just pare away in the center. Keep paring away until you've got it reasonably flat. And just work again right back towards that line. Once you think you've got that pretty flat, we're going to actually take it right back, making sure that you get that nice and flat just in the corner there. Spin it around the other side, and we're actually trying to flatten it, making sure that it's completely flat. If it's not flat, when you put the other piece of timber together, you'll find that it'll start rocking about and it won't sit flush. So it must be very flat. And there we've put a ruler on the bottom there, making sure that it is flat, and this one is. So that should work quite well when we put the piece of timber in there. So we're just going to see if it actually fits into the width of that timber. And if it doesn't quite fit, we have to actually chisel a little bit more out of it. So we're going to place it in there, push it in, fits very nicely. It's fitting quite nice to the bottom there. So that's the finished through housing.